Good evening. It is my pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of the Harrow Colchester South Chamber of Commerce to this special event. My name is Melanie Paul Tanovich, Director of Orchestra Brava and owner of the Doctor's House at Harrow. Our moderator is Bill Baker, Executive Director of the Leamington Area Family Health Team and former Essex Councillor. And our timer is Jill Marentet, Harrow Rotary Club Treasurer and past President of the Chamber of Commerce. Current Chamber President and Libro Credit Union Branch Manager Tammy Affleck will oversee the proceedings. Tonight's event can be viewed within the next couple of days on Cftv, Cogeco Channel 100, Bell Channel 586, by internet IPTV Gosfield North, and by antenna 34.1. Today, we bring our community together for discussion, initiating thought on issues relevant to the town of Essex and engaging our future leaders through sharing of ideas. We will be presenting in an informational format rather than a debate format. The purpose of this event is to address the audience and the issues, not to open debate amongst candidates. Speaking order has been determined by draw, and the subsequent order is randomly scrambled to ensure fairness. You will hear from trustee and wards 3 and 4 candidates in the first half, and mayor, deputy mayor, and wards 1 and 2 candidates in the second half. We have endeavored to address important and far-reaching issues in the prepared section of the evening. As well, audience members have been invited to write down their own questions as they enter tonight. If time does not allow for your question in the formal segment, you are welcome to approach candidates individually during the open sessions which follow. So we welcome the public, the candidates, and our organizers, and I will turn the proceedings over now to our moderator, Bill Baker.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Our first session tonight is we have 2 public trustees from the school board and 2 separate school board trustees. And they will be provided 2 minutes to introduce themselves and answer this question. What have you done and what will you do to ensure that schools stay open in our smaller communities? Starting with Julia. We're going to ask you to stand up.
Oh, to the mic?
Go ahead. Jill.
Good evening. I'm Julia Burgess, and I'd ask you to check out juliaburgess.ca to
Speak
find
into
out
the mic, please. Speak into the mic. Thank you.
To find out my background and experience, juliaburgess.ca. What I've done, what have I done, and what will I do? What I've done is everything I can humanly do to convince others to understand why we live where we do and why we want vibrant schools in our smaller communities. What you do in the future and continue to do is everything that you possibly can to search out and cement others as allies. Because at the end of the day, it's always going to be convincing others who don't live in smaller communities what's so valuable about keeping vibrant schools inside them. So you search out and cement those other allies, whether you like them or agree with them on anything else. And that's fellow members on the board, local and MPPs from across the province, MPs, folks on the Rural Caucus Roma of AMO, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, community activists, businesses, parents, anybody who can help. So I'm asking you to choose me as one of 10 members of the school board who can actually cultivate empathy in others, offer convincing fiscal arguments, solid rationale, so the majority of the other 9 agree to support community schools. That was 2 minutes?
Keep going.
I'm sorry.
Keep going. Keep going.
Can you restart the clock at 30 seconds? Okay. So to continue, what you have to do is you have to convince the majority of the other 9 to agree to support community schools. And I've demonstrated good common sense, applied my skills to connect the dots of data and people. 5 other school boards from Tobermory on down, including the John McGivney Center, have elected me to represent them and all the smaller communities on the provincial policy team. So a vote for me gets you that immediate direct provincial voice, speaking on your behalf. So what do? You know your goal, you listen well and widely, and try with every fresh idea you have. And that's the strategy that works. And I look for your support. Did your hands go up?
Thank you. Thank you, Julia. Thank you. Next up, we have, we have candidate Derek Thatchuk for the public school board. Thank you. And your question again is, what have you done? Public Catholic. Thank you. What have you done and what will you do to ensure that schools stay open in our smaller communities?
Thank you. I am Derek Thatchuk, running for the Catholic School Board, representing Leamington, Essex, Kingsville, and Pili. You can hear me okay. Was that wave at me? No, we're okay. So listen, my wife and I were chairs of the parent council at both Cardinal Carter and Holy Name in Essex for 6 years. Cardinal Carter and Leamington just went through an arc in recent years where they closed one of their schools. They invited comments from parent council members like ourselves. One of the recommendations we made to our board at that time was to look at the issue of retention. Kids transitioning from grade 8 to grade 9, we lose a lot from Essex, from Kingsville. They don't continue on in Catholic secondary education. So we said part of the problem is retaining our own students. But the bigger problem, stepping back, is that there's empty spaces in our rural schools. The province funds the money to the school boards based on how many kids are in the seats. So why do we have empty seats? Well, part of it is a cooperation between the school boards and the municipalities, right? Because municipalities have to be vibrant communities attracting young families to them. Are your development fees reasonable? Are you open for business and building affordable housing? I work for the city of Windsor, so I understand how municipalities work. So part of the puzzle is getting municipalities to be on board to make sure they're attracting young families to their communities to get more students in the seats. My wife grew up in Harrow here, and when we parked, she saw her closed Harrow High School, which broke her heart, which I understand the hardship that this community has undergone. So another part of it is getting the municipalities on board, getting the province on board. We've just had a new provincial government come into power. They seem very open to listening to parents' needs and the community's needs. So I'm optimistic that under this Doug Ford government, they're going to be putting a hold on closing rural schools and listening to school boards to see what it is that they need to do to suit the needs, putting people first. And you communicate with the partners, and I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thank you. Derek Thatchuk.
Thank you, Derek. Next up, we have Sherry Judovich for the Public School Board. And this question again to you, so just remind you, what have you done and what will you do to ensure that schools stay open in our smaller communities?
Good evening. My name is Sherry Judovich. I've been a member of the community for almost 20 years now. I've sat on parent council as a lot of things, parent trustee, chair, co-chair. I've sat on the accommodation review study with Steve Schneider at the Greater District Board of Education. In 2014 and 15, I sat on the park committee when we were told that the Greater Essex County District School Board wanted to close Harrow District High School. During this time, we formed a committee to try and save Harrow District High School from closing and put together lots of viable information to try and prove our point about school closures, along with small school importance to local communities. In 2016, February, a group of us, myself included, drove to Queen's Park. We were able to meet with Jeff Lyle, who was the Minister of Rural Affairs. We also were introduced during a session with Taras Natoshak, where we addressed to WIN and other ministries about rural and small schools. Unfortunately, in June, as you all know, the Greater Essex County District School Board decided to close Harrow District High School. When I was a member of I was also a member of the transition committee to try and transition the two schools together. In September of 2016, when my oldest entered KDHS, I joined with Michelle Hedges as a parent co-chair to ensure transition between Harrow District High School and Kingsville District High School went well. I've volunteered my time as Kiss and Ride for many years at Harrow Public School.
20 seconds.
I've been an active member helping teachers at all schools, and I have worked for the Greater Essex County District School Board as a health aide, or as a, luncheon aide for many years. In the J. King room, I was known to a lot of students as Miss D. I am very compassionate.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you.
No problem.
Next, thank you. Thank you. Next up is Mary DeMena from the Catholic Board. Mary, again, what have you done and what will you do to ensure that schools stay open in our smaller communities?
Thank you, everyone, and welcome everyone here this evening. I have 49 years of active involvement in Catholic education. I taught for the system for 33 years, and 17 of my years was right here at St. Anthony's in Harrow. I've been the vice chair for 9 years of the Catholic Board, and I've served as a trustee from December 2003. I just wanted to correct what Derek said. It wasn't Cardinal Carter that was under the ark. It was Queen of Peace and St. Louis in Leamington. What we did there is we closed Queen of Peace and developed a middle school at Cardinal Carter, which is called the Cardinal Carter Middle School. The one thing I would do is to work with parents to make sure that we do not close all our schools in our small communities. It is the mandate of the board that we will never, ever abandon a town with one of our schools. We have to understand that the Catholic system basically has one school in every town. We would never close that. That would never happen for us. And the other thing, I do attend all my council meetings. The top issues I see for the school board are student achievement, faith formation, a balanced budget, and special education. For the past 15 years, I've served this community very well, and I feel that I still have a lot to offer.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. So these are your candidates running for the school board. They have to leave early tonight because there's another event in Cottam at Cottam Rotary, so that's why we had them up first. So thank you very much. Next up are Ward 3 and 4 candidates. Ward 3 and Ward 4 candidates. So present tonight we have 3 candidates from Ward 3, 1 candidate from Ward 4, and we have regrets from Ward 4 candidate Paul Innes. He had a previous medical appointment which he needed to attend and couldn't change the time on that. So that is the reason. So you're going to be given 45 seconds for introductions. Sorry? That's good. Okay, perfect. And we're going, I want you have to stand up at the microphone so we can have the Cftv do that. All right, so first we're going to go through rotation and we'd like to get an introduction with you. So Rod, to begin. 45 seconds.
Evening, everybody. My name's Rodney Hammond. My parents moved back here when I was 2, and other than a few years that I was out learning my craft as a chef, I've been here for most of my 58 years. It's obvious the big box stores destroyed our town. And with the high school closure, that was pretty much another nail in the coffin. Good news is we're reinventing ourselves. The continued success of the wineries is bringing in lots of tourism, and with that, tourist industry is...
Okay, Rod.
Pardon me?
I have 45 seconds to introduce yourself, so we'll get
Are we doing everything we can? I don't think so. We need to...
Okay, Rod?
Yeah?
45 seconds. That was to introduce yourself, basically. It wasn't really an opening speech.
Oh.
Just introduce yourself and who you are. Okay? Okay?
So you gave me 45 seconds. So.
We did. Okay, we're done.
All right. Shut up.
Right. Next candidate?
That's it? We're just...
Yeah. Then our questions will be going up. Okay. 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 Next, Sherry Bondi, Ward 4 candidate.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. First of all, I want to welcome everybody for taking time out of their night to come and hang out with us. You know, I can talk politics 7 nights a week. I'm driving my family nuts, so now I can drive all of you nuts. I'm seeking re-election in Ward 4, that's Harrow. This will be my 3rd term, hopefully if I'm successful. I'm an active counselor. I may be little, but I have a big voice, and I'm a strong voice at the table. I really feel I have a lot of experience now. Hopefully one day down the road I'd jump and run for mayor or deputy mayor, but my strengths are you, and it's given me a lot of motivation to seek re-election. So the people of Harrow are my strength. I see many of you here tonight, and thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Sherry. So next up, we have the candidate from Ward 3, Chris Vanderdoelen.
Good evening, everyone. I'm 61 years old. I retired 2 years ago from the Windsor Star. You may remember I covered politics and the automotive industry for about a decade. I've spent 40 years covering politics. I covered City Hall in Toronto. I covered it in Sault Ste. Marie. I covered federal politics. I know government very well, and I think I could bring a lot to the table here. I understand about jurisdictions. I understand about what's possible, what's not possible, what overreach means. I think I could do a really good job in representing you and balancing this budget and running the town correctly. Thank you.
Yes, 2 rotations. Thank you. Ward 3 candidate, Steve Bjorkman.
Thank you. Good evening. My name's Steve Bjorkman. I'm a resident of Colchester Village now. In the last 25 years, my wife and I have lived in Colchester North, in the Essex Center, and now in Colchester Village. I'm currently serving my 1st term as a counselor, and I sit on 6 different boards and committees of the town. My wife and I have been involved with a number of service groups, as well as coaching and supporting teams at our high school. I work for the Ford Motor Company. I'm a member of Local 200, and I'm running for the Ward 3 seat because I want to represent the neighbors that I live near at the decision-making table. I'm proud of the work that we got started over the last 4 years and would like to see that through. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, so the next questions, we're going in rotation. The first question, and each will get a chance to answer this, and you have 1.5 minutes to answer this question. First person to answer this question will be Sherry Bondi, and the question is, how will you work toward community vitality and economic development while preserving the small town feel of our unique agricultural town?
Thank you, moderator. So some of the things that our council has done right, we've done a website, tourismessex.ca. It's launching, it's connecting businesses that are market ready to people that are coming into our town. One thing I really love about what we've done in the town of Essex. Another thing that we're just now getting the ball rolling and it's coming to our council table is the Harrow Streetscape Plan. So late spring, early this summer, we met with businesses and residents and we really looked at the downtown core and say, what is it missing? What do we like? How can we improve? So we're working on that. That's coming back to council. That will signify to investors that council sees downtown Harrow as a priority. So now we will have a to-do list. And we can work with the province and we can work with the feds and say, okay, maybe it's lighting, maybe it's new sidewalks. I'm just throwing ideas out there. You know, maybe it's more urban revitalization. I'm not sure. The report isn't back yet. So that's something that I really like that we've done. One thing that our council needs to really do going forward in the new term of council is get along. That's going to help everybody. Because if you really follow our council, we have a lot of great ideas. We're doing a lot of great work, but kind of the infighting is kind of overshadowing some of those things. I'm also a big fan of Small Things Matter. Heritage plaque at the Veterans Memorial Park was just unleashed. That was great. Small little benches around town. That was great. I communicate all these little things out to our public because little things matter. Big things do too, but our attitude, customer service. We need to be a welcoming committee here in Harrow, which is why I did a welcome package, and I'll explain that later.
Thank you, Sherry. Chris Vanderdoelen, the question is, how will you work towards community vitality and economic development while preserving the small town feel of our unique agricultural town? 1.5 minutes.
Well, first of all, something that almost everyone agrees on is we need better access to broadband internet. It's crucial. People are being driven crazy by the poor choices most of us have. There was a report to council this week that the so-called SWIFT plan is moving ahead, but it's anything but SWIFT. I mean, after all, it's government. It's going to be 5 years before they have any fiber in the ground. I think we need to do something to improve that. I think our development approval process is too sclerotic. It's all plugged up. Stuff isn't getting approved when it should be. I don't think you could just willy-nilly approve development that would be bad for our environment or for our towns. But obviously, we've got development going on all around us, and we're getting none of it. So we're doing something wrong. We've got to pay attention to that. I think that there's an opportunity in adjusting the tax balance between apartments and houses. Did you know that we charge double the tax rate on apartments that we do on single homes? This is crazy. That means that the people with the lowest incomes in our society are paying the most for housing. And I think that we should start rebalancing that. Other cities started this a decade ago, and they just gradually move a few bucks off the apartments onto all the other housing. You do it over a number of years, and I think we could kickstart the construction of small apartments again, like an infill, like small buildings in the town centers. We could solve a whole bunch of problems about affordability and housing and development by doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Bjorkman, same question. How will you work towards community vitality and economic development while preserving the small town feel of our unique agricultural town? 1.5 minutes.
I have to make notes to make sure I don't miss things. At a high level, I see Harrow and Colchester South developing into a destination that needs no outside support. The development of the wineries with their tasting rooms and reception areas demand that the town find a way to bring in lodging to support them. The development of B&Bs in our area is great, but we need a hotel, and it's more apparent every day. The town can help this by increasing the budget for our economic development officer so that he can take the hotel feasibility study that we paid for and it was commissioned to the hotel chains that we are after. Meeting in person is still the best way to build relationships and gives us a chance to set ourselves apart from the rest. In order to preserve the character of our town when these developments come to us, we can use the Town of Essex urban design guidelines to ensure these projects fit within our vision of how our town should look. Continued development of Colchester Village, starting with the finishing of the schoolhouse, is a fully functioning building so it can be used as our tour center, our trolley pickup point, our parking lot for the beach and the park. Christchurch, the cemetery, and the schoolhouse are the cornerstone of history in Essex. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rod, you have the last on this question. How will you work towards community vitality and economic development while preserving our small town feel and our unique agricultural town? 1.5 minutes.
Okay, like I was saying, we are reinventing ourselves. The success of the local wine industry is bringing tourism, and with it, tourism-type businesses are finding opportunity in our community. Are we doing everything we can to help? As tourism increases, so does the demand for accommodations. What are we doing to coax hotels to invest with us? As more and more seniors retire and move into our community, the need for senior housing becomes more apparent. What are we doing to attract retirement industry into investing in our community? As the years goes by and tourism increases and the need for senior housing decreases, there's no reason these residents can't be turned into motels to accommodate our growing tourism industry. Canvassing, I met some techies that have moved into our wonderful community. They love it here, but the demand for internet is by far their biggest concern. They're unable to work at home. In order to keep up with the competition, I think we seriously need to look into finding ways to improve our internet.
Okay, Rod.
Okay.
That's
That's
Rod.
it?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Nope, I'm sorry. My apologies.
Oh, I'm just wrapping up. Okay. People are moving here and finding art style living to be very, very nice. I want to preserve that style of living and progress with the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Rod. So our next question, we're starting with Chris Vanderdoen. What is your vision for the Harrow High School property? There is public concern that it will suffer the neglect that the junior public school has. 1.5 minutes.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to say the unpopular thing here, and I think that the school should be sold. I think it would be a terrible mistake to force taxpayers to pay for that school again by having the town pay for it. They paid for it once. To force them to pay for it again out of another pocket, I think would be terrible. And it would cost millions, and think about how much other good work we could do with that money. I think the property should be redeveloped. Now, having said all that, I know there are some issues with that go back half a century, from what I understand, over the land ownership and how it all links together. And I want it to be done in a way that doesn't hurt the Harrow Fair, because the Harrow Fair, I think, is one of the best things the town has going for it. It should be preserved. I mean, it means so much to the local culture and the local history that we need to make sure that it's not impeded in its mission to keep delivering the best fare in Ontario. So while I think we should sell the school, hopefully for housing, I don't see what else we could do with it, that I think we should do it in a way that protects the Harrow Fair. That's all, thanks.
Thank you, Chris. Steve Bjorkman, same question. What is your vision for the Harrow High School property? There's public concern that it will suffer neglect, the same thing that the junior public school has. 1.5 minutes.
Thank you. It's a difficult question right now, as there are things I'd like to talk to you about that I can't talk to you about. But what I can say is that this is probably the biggest issue in the town today, and also the most difficult. Along with the junior school, there's the worry that it's going to fall into the same disrepair. What's happened with the junior school and the development that was there, that apparently we don't have a big enough drainage that we can't put units in there without upgrading half of the services that go into that property. Is that going to be the same problem at the Harrow High School? We need to preserve that area for our fair. We need to preserve that area for our sports field. We need to preserve that area for a lot of things. So I'm going to say that much about the school. All of these challenges go to the idea, though, that with the growth of our tourism sector and the continued support of our agricultural sector, these challenges become affordable. We have properties zoned for industrial, medical, mixed residential, waiting to be developed, but the private sector must drive this. We have incentives for people to build and invest here. We have staff who recruit builders and businesses with CIPs and reduced development charges. Members of this council have met with ministers, community hub specialists, premiers, as well as community groups and advocates here in our local community. This is not a unique problem to our community, but the solution will be. We need to continue the conversations, continue to chase ministers, continue to recruit investors, and continue to advocate to anyone who will listen on behalf of our town.
Thank you, Steve. Rod, you're up. What is your vision for Harrow High School? There's a concern that it will suffer the same neglect that the junior public school has. 1.5 minutes.
I'm really perplexed about the whole situation. I don't know what the town can do other than keep pressuring the school board to do something with it or give it to us. I really don't have an answer for the high school other than pressure, but I think we need pressure from the public also. They send in a couple of people there to talk on behalf. Obviously isn't getting through to them. I think we need more of a public outcry to maybe we can get something done, because we're definitely getting the shaft on when it comes to these schools around here.
Okay, thanks, Rod. Sherry, what's your vision for the high school, Harrow High School, and as you know, it's junior school?
Thank you, moderator. I want to back it up 10 seconds to say the junior school, when I was on council last term, maybe even the term before that, 2 council members wanted to buy the junior school. If we did buy the junior school, it would have been developed already. That junior school has been a thorn in my side. I refuse to sit here and be quiet on an issue that is going to devastate the core recreation lands of our ward, in our town. That means we have to, I'm hoping the new term of council deals with this, because there is a lot. This is a huge file. This is a huge file. Talking about this is actually not difficult. It's really easy. And I really feel that we need the whole community talking about it, because it's big. I wish I could tell you how big it is. So we need to protect our ball diamonds. We need to protect access to our daycare, access to our arena, our skate park, our fair. We need all the team players in here, and that's not happening. And this councilor's not happy. And I don't go down easy. I go down fighting. Unfortunately, half of the battles and half of the work I do in the council chamber is reactive, is keeping the things the same, whether it's arena canteen or long grass or winter removal. I don't want to fight those battles anymore, but I will. But I want to be proactive, but unfortunately, most of the things I do, I spend my energy being reactive, and I know there's people in here that can attest to the struggles that I'm having on the doorstep, because when I go there, they say, oh yeah, we support you, you're fighting for us. We see how hard it is for you. Well, folks, this is a big file. It's a hard file, and I'm hoping council takes time and dissects it and comes back with a resolution that's good for our community.
Thank you, Sherry. All right, the next question, start out with Steve. Steve, next question is, on the topic of regional public transit, Do you think the town of Essex should pursue a public transportation partnership with the City of Windsor and/or our neighboring municipalities? 1.5 minutes.
Thank you. Regional public transit is obviously an issue we cannot take on by ourselves. Even the name implies that we will need partners with other municipalities to make a go of it. The County of Essex would be more than a partner and most likely the driver of such an initiative. LaSalle has recently moved forward with their own bus service that ties into the City of Windsor, which this question speaks to. The summary for their financial for the first 3 years that they expect in their plan is operating costs will be $584,000. Their administrative costs are $70,000. Their marketing costs are $15,000 to $40,000. At the end of the day, they'll be able to bring in revenue fare at about $80,000 and a provincial gas tax about $260,000, which leaves them short of $317,000. That's a 2% tax increase in our town. An innovative plan in some urban and rural communities is setting up an Uber platform that is subsidized by the municipality. This allows for set fees, say $5 from your home to any destination and return. The municipality picks up the rest of the cost. The premise is that it employs people in the town as well as limits the cost to the municipality in not needing to incur the costs of setting up infrastructure in the form of bus stops, lanes, and buses. The social media platform would be set up by and managed by the town, and drivers would be screened and cleared in advance. A review page would be part of the platform so the town could get feedback from the riders on their experience. Now that we have an elected deputy mayor whose primary function is to represent us at the county level, he can push for regional matters in that position. Thank you.
Steve. Way to go. Nice job. Actually, it's... yeah. No, it's Rod. Rod next, sorry. Started with him, it's Rod next. Rod, the question on the topic of regional public transportation, what's your position?
I've talked on this before, and I've rid public transit when I was working, and it's very accommodating. I never needed a car, never needed insurance. Is it feasible here? I'm not sure that it is. I'm talking about when I was riding, we were moving millions of people around hourly, not on a daily basis, hourly. So is it feasible here? I don't know, other than maybe a Uber situation like that. Again, driverless buses. But out of all the people here, how many are going to use public transit? How many can afford public transit? I know I can't afford to pay for it because where are we going? To Windsor. Do we really want people going to Windsor when we need them here? So I really don't see how we can, and even like the regional public transit that they're talking about, they're not including us. So if it ever happens, we'll be the last ones to hear about it. Thank you.
Sherry Bondi.
Thank you, moderator. I think it would be part of the next term of council to have a brainstorming session, whether it's one of the scopes of work they want to invest in, and then it would need some sort of feasibility. But what we do have is an existing backbone model. Our problem is sometimes not communicating what we're doing out there. The town of Essex gives $20,000 to Essex Community Services. Essex Community Services operates the Caravan. The Caravan does pick people up in Colchester. They just picked one up in Oxley yesterday. I know this because I called the executive director this afternoon. So we give them a grant for $20,000, which in some way is subsidizing that cost. They are an open door policy. You do not have to be low income. You do not have to be disabled to use them. You just pick up the phone and call them. They also have a shuttle from around Max, where Max Milk used to be, for St. Clair College students. Something that not everybody knows. In the Harrow News, they have a little clip all the time. Essex Community Services is doing this. Essex Community Services is doing that. Read the Harrow News. Best $30 you can spend a year to stay informed. So Essex Community Services, if we want to partner with them as a municipality to bring in more buses, we can certainly do that, but we have to see if it's financially feasible. Right now, let's market it. You can get, if you're an existing client, you can get on a bus within 24 hours. If not, you have to call and see. So it goes to Windsor, it goes to Leamington, it is regional, it's just a little hidden. So let's tell everybody everybody about Essex Community Services, and everybody get the Harrow News.
Thank you. Chris.
I like Penn Public Transit. I've got bus tickets right here. I take Windsor Transit all the time. I'm not sure many other people in this room do. But the question is, how much? There's a reason we haven't had regional transit for 40 years, and that's because we've been deadlocked. Steve touched on this. If we get into this, it's a budget swamp. We could get sucked into this multi-million-dollar morass that would eat our own budget. I mean, just 2% alone for that one item. Like, I'm willing to consider it, but how much? I think it's too much for us. I think that, I'm a libertarian kind of guy. I'm like the free market. I would love to see people on an Uber model driving their own minivans and doing it themselves as private entrepreneurs. But it might be taken out of our hands. We might not have to do anything because the people who advise our investments are telling us that Uber and Maven and Lyft and these other multi-billion-dollar startups are pretty soon going to make public transit probably obsolete. So while I would be willing to look at joining Windsor, I'm more inclined to go with the local solution and wait to see what the future brings, because I think it could be revolutionary on its own.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you very much. So this next question will start with Rod, and it is a prepared response. We had asked the candidates to rank your priorities from this alphabetical listing from the highest priority first, and they are agriculture, commercial development, health, low taxes, preservation, environmental, historical, roads, tourism, and recreation. 10 seconds, Rod, if you could, after you get up to the speaker, of course.
Okay. Health, agriculture, preservation, tourism and commercial development, taxes, and then roads.
Okay. Sherry?
Thank you, moderator. I had to put the Harrow context on. So I'm thinking commercial development, preservation, which is environmental and historical, roads, agriculture, health, tourism, recreation, which was hard to combine together, and low taxes, because I think we're okay with taxes as long as we're getting something for them.
If I was in Harrow, I'd start with Harrow 3 too, but I'm in Pleasant Valley, so this is what I think Ward 3 wants. Roads, along with sewers and water treatment, affordable housing, tax control, agriculture, commercial development, recreation and tourism, recreation first, tourism second, and preservation last.
Steve?
This was tough. This is where I spend your money. Roads, commercial development, agriculture, tourism, recreation, low taxes, health, preservation.
Thank you very much. Okay, this final is our conclusion, and we will be starting with Sherry. You have 1.5 minutes to give us your conclusions, starting with how you'll be progressive in thoughts and actions on council. 1.5 minutes.
Thank you, moderator. My platform has always come from the people. I did the survey in the fall, and it's really given me some of the ideas. The ideas, we're fixing the hydro flickers, by the way. I haven't had one in a while. I don't know about everybody here, but knock on wood. So ALC and Essex Council took on hydro, and we're making some progress there. OPP, people are saying that they're not seeing enough OPP present, and they don't like what the OPP are doing. So that's a huge file we have to tackle. I would personally love to get into some of the more sexier things for me. I love animal welfare. Everybody knows that. I'm going to continue to advocate for animals, whether some of you like it or not. Waste diversion. I want to talk about the landfill. I want to talk about our recycling. I want to talk about green composting. I want to talk about proper recycling and get that message out there. I want to talk about our youth. I have been the youngest one on council now for a while. I don't know if that will continue. I've been the only woman, so I like to engage women. I like to engage youth. I like to engage men too, don't get me wrong. But we need more women voices. I'm hoping for a good council that has a lot of different voices on it. I'm hoping that we have leadership with integrity, because it depends on what happens October 23rd when we wake up is going to change the landscape. So I'm hoping that people get out, they vote, and I will continue to do what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing, and I think it's working so far. I am engaging people. Harrow, when we do something in Harrow, we have more people than any other ward, and that's because of some of the things we're doing. We're feisty. I'm feisty too. And if you want me to continue to represent you, you know who to vote for. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris?
Well, I think that progressive is kind of a politically loaded word. From where I'm from, that means that you want to make radical changes and do things that way they weren't done before. But what I'm getting from people at the door is that people are very protective of the rural and agricultural nature of Ward 3 and Colchester South. They don't want it to change. What they want is they want the roads. They want incremental improvements. They want the roads improved a little bit better. They want some more wastewater treatment so that there could be a little bit more cottage development. But they don't want this place swamped or changed. As I alluded to earlier, I think housing is an important thing that we need to move on, and I think a tax change could help that. And the broadband thing is an economic development tool, as Rod mentioned. Personal bugaboo of mine, I wish we had more trees on our main streets in the towns. She's a cat hugger, I'm a tree hugger, and it bothers me when we walk into town and it's like the Sahara Desert and there's no trees. That's a small thing we should be able to afford. Other than that, I'm very much in favor of keeping an even keel. I think we should manage our debt better. I think the debt at 17 million, we're in a time of rising interest rates. We should probably get a handle on that before it gets out of control. And other than that, I don't think we have to reinvent this wheel. We just have to perfect Colchester South. Thank you.
Steve, concluding remarks?
Thank you very much. Number one, I'm in Ward 3, it's roads. Roads, fixing roads, maintaining roads, policing roads, watching for speeders, watching for... The only thing that's going to stop people speeding, stop people looking at their phones, stop people doing all those crazy things is police presence on the road. So one of the things we need to do is really push for and ask for that enforcement from our OPP. High-speed rural internet is no longer a luxury. High-speed rural internet brings people, I shouldn't say it brings people to your area. People don't come to your area because you don't have high-speed rural internet. It's an expected thing to have. We need to do better. If SWIFT can't get us there fast enough, as Chris alluded to, then we need to do what Amherstburg has done and some other places have done, and go out, find a partner, and start getting to work on it. And when SWIFT catches up, then we'll join up with SWIFT. Grow ops, cannabis, retail stores. It's a huge issue that's coming to us in the next 3 months. We need to decide, this next council needs to decide before the end of January if we will opt in and have retail stores in our area or opt out and not have retail licenses available in our area. That's an opportunity to the town to explore and to understand. The grow-ops that are out in our county that are working in areas that are completely outside of our bylaw, that we go to the federal government and say, you're giving these people a license to do this. They're in that person's backyard. They can't sit on their porch because they've got ventilation going into onto their porches. We need to get a hold of that. We need to talk to Ottawa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Rod, you have the closing remarks here, and again, please give us your conclusions, stating how you will be progressive in thoughts and actions on council. 1.5 minutes.
I really want to jump on the tourism bandwagon that we're producing here. I think it's our ace in the hole. It's what attracting businesses here. I think we can help by attracting businesses by holding some events that might aid in that. Like one suggestion I had was a May 2-4. Like when I lived abroad, I did a lot of yard selling and stuff like that. So one of the suggestions was like the busiest yard sale day is May 2-4. I think that would be a perfect time to kick off our summer events. So I think that maybe it would be nice to have a community yard sale on May 2-4 weekend and invite craft shops to come in and, maybe sell some spots for them. But something in these lines to create more tourism, get people coming, more people coming out here and finding what's going on. I'm not opposed to any kind of transportation that's bringing people from Windsor out to here, by any means. Those are things that I think can help us, and thank you very much. It's been a great evening.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we have some audience questions that came in, and you're each going to get a chance to answer these audience questions. We're going to reverse the order now, starting with Steve. These are questions. 1 minute, thank you. 1 minute if you can. All right. It has become more and more evident to me as a resident that council members are being hindered in their ability to make the best decisions that reflect the wishes of their constituents because administration is either withholding pertinent pieces of information, such as, in the case of the fire department, workplace assessment, or not taking the time to fully consult with key community players on developments happening within our community. If you become a council member, how do you plan to address this problem, and how will you provide the transparency needed to inform constituents of this development? Steve, 1 minute, please.
Thank you. Well, if I become a council member, and since I am a council member, I'll tell you what I think of our administration. We have an excellent administration here in the town of Essex. I count on and I lean on their advice. I'm not an expert in anything except quality control at the Ford Motor Company. When I'm here, I'm working at my best to bring the issues of the town to the council. I have my ideas that I bring. Sherry brings ideas to the town. Everybody on our group brings ideas to the town. And it's our job to direct our administration to say, this is our vision. You take us there. How do I get there? They come back and say, okay, we can do this and this, but we can't afford to do this. It's our direction at the start of our term that launches administration on their way. We pay good money to have these people in these positions, and for me to try to say, I'm going to work on this road, I think you're wrong, Mr. Director, that road needs taken care of more than another. That is not my place. If I don't trust them, if I feel I'm not getting my money's worth, then it's time for us to move that administration out. But while they're there, they are the people that will advise me. They've been trained in it. As far as I'm concerned, when it goes to the fire department thing, I voted against seeing it. It wasn't administration told us we couldn't see it. Our council voted not to look at it. That was a choice we made as a council. So a couple of things that get brought up, we get to vote on those. And our decision directs administration as to what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Chris, next. The essence of the question, I think you've heard it, is with regards to transparency, feeling that council is being hindered by administration in terms of the information that they're receiving. That's the general gist of the question.
Yeah, it's as though there's some information that the rest of us haven't been told about. I don't know what's being withheld. I haven't been in camera meetings, of which there have to be many because there are personnel issues and property disposal issues. Like, what's being withheld from us? I don't know. I've been to the council meetings for the last 6 months. It seems to be running normally. The issue about the fire services report, that was a split on council. Some thought it should be open, some didn't. One side won. That doesn't mean that the administration is misleading anyone. In my judging of this administration, they look very competent to me. I didn't see anything out of whack, aside from the fact that it might be a little bit large. I don't see that that we have a bad administration that's misleading council. I just don't agree with that at all. As for transparency, attend council, tune in, watch it. There's nothing like eyeballs on the council to make things more transparent, and that's up to everybody in this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Sherry, would you like to respond to that question?
Thank you, moderator. First of all, I don't want to say that Essex Council is run normally. The way it's run is not how it should be. It's not normal. Everybody knows that Essex Council is not run normally. I do feel there's a problem. I am elected by the people to go in there and ask questions and to get answers. I feel like we've created a culture of not asking questions. I will be brutally honest, because that's what I do. It's not administration's fault. Not at all. Council's fault. I don't see one administrator up here on this podium with me. I'm all by myself. When I'm asking for your vote, I'm all by myself. I don't have our administration back there helping me. It's me, all by my butt. is on that line. At the end of the day, my neck is out there. I go there. I ask the questions. You're my strength. You are. I have people feeding me information, telling me to ask questions, and I cross-reference it. I vet it out. Absolutely I do, because you put me here. So I'm listening to you. Sometimes I feel that because of the nature, the dynamics of our council, leadership has fallen and gotten from kind of bad to kind of worse. And there is a divide on our council. If you go to council meetings, you'll see the divide. And there are some people that ask questions and some people kind of take I get that administrations are experts. But why am I there? I'm there for a reason. I'm there to question. And I need to question because I'm working for you. And if you don't like it, you can tell me October 22nd.
Rod, want to address that question?
Well, since I started running in the by-election last year, I have been attending quite a few council meetings, and I have noticed that there is a problem with communication there, and particularly when one councillor from one ward is talking about a situation in another ward, and I can see that it's not getting through 100% because everybody's not on the same street or at the same corner that's being addressed, and these mistakes are being filtered down through administration, and they're doing their tests in wrong spots and stuff like that. So I'd like to see better communication in council, and I intend on going there with a proactive attitude and a positive attitude. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have time for one more question, I think. Time for one more? One minute. Okay, so let's stick to the 1 minute. Next question, to begin with, Chris. What is the biggest obstacle for Essex and Harrow?
Obstacle to what?
That's the question. What's the biggest obstacle? Well, you can answer however you want.
Well, there's not enough money to do everything we want. That's always it.
Okay.
I mean, that's why we talk about development so much, so we can have a few extra bucks in our pocket to pave some of those gravel roads and pretty up the streets of Harrow and the things we want to do. And every council faces this. It's the priorities of where do we spend our limited resources, and that's why I think it's very important to pay attention to things like debt and budget and taxes, because that's how you get the most bang for your buck, is by looking after the pennies. So.
Okay.
And we need development to pay too. Just not, like I said, not swamped, but we need new dollars to help pay for new stuff.
Okay, thank you. Sure. What do you think is the biggest obstacles for Essex and Harrow?
Oh, Jesus, that's a hard one. The biggest obstacle is communication, right? Let's go back to the communication. I do a lot on my Facebook. Let's communicate out all the good things that we're doing, and we are doing it. And I'm glad to see other candidates are communicating out things that we're doing. Another big problem, relationships. Fractured relationships on Essex Town Council, which is further fractured relationships in Town Hall, which has further disenfranchised our residents. So we're all fractured up. So we need to come together. We need to get this election over with, because I'll tell you, this is not fun. Well, this is kind of fun, but living every day, we're getting cold sores and diarrhea and everything because it's constant stress. So let's get this over with, and let's get to the table, and let's do some work. Let's have a little kumbaya. Let's put the differences behind us, and let's start working on our relationships. And that's where we're going to we build strong relationships. I go to Essex Center more, and they come out here more, and we fake it until we make it, and we move this municipality forward. Money fixes a lot of things too, but at the end of the day, you have to have good relationships, and right now, we don't.
Rodney? What's the biggest obstacles for Essex and Harrow?
The biggest obstacle I see right now is forming unity. We kind of got thrown together during amalgamation, and since then we've been torn apart. Our kids are going to school in Kingsville. Why are they not going to school in Essex? Our hockey players are going to play hockey in Kingsville. And Amherstburg? Why are they not going to Essex? It seems everything that could possibly unite us is being prohibited from us from doing that. So I think we need to address the issues of getting our kids together so that this town can finally meld together as one.
Thank you. Steve? What's the biggest obstacles for Essex and Harrow?
Well, I'll agree with Councillor Bondi that communication is key. We all specialize in different things. We have 4 centers. We have even more distinct areas. We have the beach. We have farmland. We have vineyards. We have our sports areas. There's a multitude of things that are here, and it benefits everybody to a degree. There's a lot of people would be just as happy if we'd never built an arena, because what does an arena do for me? But that arena is for a segment of our population, and we need to support that segment of our population. There are people that will never walk into a winery. Why would I go to? But that segment of our population supports the rest of our population. We all need to find that way to come together. It's about stepping back, and instead of saying, what am I getting out of this, is what are we doing together as a whole? And if we can finally come together and try to lose those labels and communicate with one another, all we'll do is grow. There's unlimited potential for the things that we have here. There's a great community to live in. People should be attracted to it because of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Do you have time? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to give you the last question. We have time for one more. We're going to go around. Sherry, this is up to you first. 45 seconds, please. Would you support the municipality's withdrawal from the marijuana situation, since communities do have the right to opt out?
Thank you, moderator. I think that's a hard question to be the first one to answer. So I think that we need to, there has a use, right? Medical marijuana has a use. I know people that have gone locally and got some and they're using it. So I don't think I want to opt out. I do think I want to have some control over it. So it's, let's have some experts. I'm not an expert. This is definitely my weakness. Let's go. Let's talk to the experts. Let's see what the province is how they're going to work with us. Maybe we don't have them by schools. Maybe we don't have them by vulnerable populations. I think there's a time and a place, and I don't want to say opt out.
Thank you. Chris, your position on this?
The federal government has already legalized it. I think it would be a mistake for us to think that we're going to be an island that somehow can hold out against it. Like Sherry, there are members of my family who are using marijuana for severe arthritis and MS and other things, so I'm not opposed to it. But whether we put a store on the main street, I don't know. I don't really think it's going to change a heck of a lot. It's going to be legalized. People are going to be using it. What Steve said earlier about controlling the grow-ops, I think that's more important. That could really ruin people's property values in their lives, so I think that's more important.
Okay. Steve?
I have to go fast. 4 weeks ago, I would have said opt out. The store that opened up in Essex opened next door to my wife's clothing store. The amount of smell, the odor, what came through those walls was unbelievable. It was turning people out of our store. So there are things that they can do to control their odors. There's things they can do to put their ventilation and take care of. It's going to be legal. It's going to be here. We have to find a way to work with it. So I'm at the point I'm not in favor of opting out, but we need to make sure that we're already working on our bylaws and how we're going to place these operations in our town so that it doesn't inconvenience the other retail outlets that are near them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Rod, you have the last podium on this one. First question.
If you're concerned about marijuana and how it's going to affect our town, my suggestion is immediately start contacting your council and letting them know how you want to address it. Because if you don't, then it's going to be left up to the people that are running the stores. So let council know how you feel, and then give them a chance to set policy before policy's set. Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to give a big round of hand for our candidates. Thank you very much for being up here. Good response. Thank you. We are now going to take about a 30-minute break so that you can mingle with the candidates and talk, and then we'll be coming back with the mayor and deputy mayor candidates. Okay? Thank you very much. Take a few minutes, 30 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you very much. So tonight, right now, at this session, we have obviously our mayors and our deputy mayor candidates running for at large. We will begin with introductions, and we have selected the order of introductions. We will start with introduction, 45 seconds, and the timer I will mention when you have 20 seconds left as well. 45 seconds, starting with Larry Snively. Larry?
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to our event tonight. It's nice to see everybody out here. Larry Snively, I'm a lifetime resident of the town of Harrow. I'm very, very involved with our community here. I do a lot of fundraising. I'm presently on council. I'm very, very concerned about a tax base. This is the direction I'm going. I want to build a big industrial tax base. I have one company coming to town now, but what we have to do here is build a solid tax base, industrial tax base, so we can maintain taxes. That's part of my platform, but we'll get at that later. But like I say, I'm a lifetime resident. I've been here all my life. My family's been here for over 150 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next up is Rob Shepley, also running for mayor. Rob, 45 seconds, please. Intro.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having us out tonight. I'm Rob Shepley. I grew up in Ward 2, lived out here in Ward 3 for a number of years, and my wife actually grew up out here. She's one of the Portuguese girls, the Casillas. We now currently live in Ward 1, where we run and operate our businesses. I'm been looking to run for mayor and hopefully get your vote. I've been on the BIA for a few years, and 20 seconds. That's it. Thank you.
20 seconds left. 20 seconds.
Oh.
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, that's it. I'm good.
Running for deputy mayor, Phil Pocock. Phil.
Hello, I'm Phil Pocock. I'm 41 years old. I'm married, have 2 kids. I ran last time in Ward 1 and lost to Steve Borkman by 43 votes. And since then, I've been on the ELK board, the Essex Community Services board, and the Heritage Committee. So I do have a little bit of experience on boards and committees. So I am not just a newbie. I've also, I'm a pretty open and honest guy who doesn't like to mislead you, like using a re-elect sign that he's not been re-elected at large. So that's what I would like to say.
Next up is running for deputy mayor, Richard Meloche. Richard, 45 seconds.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. So I'm Richard Meloche. I'm not going to say my age, but I do like having my birthday, but no, I'm 59 years old. I've lived in the community all my life. Actually, for the first 10 years, I lived here in Harrow as a kid. My dad was an OPP officer here, and I lived on Secord Street and went to St. Anthony's until the end of grade 4. We moved to McGregor at that point in time.
20 seconds.
And got 3 kids, all married, 6 grandkids. I'm looking to be re-elected as deputy mayor because it's been defined by our administration that it is a re-election. Council voted me in as the deputy mayor for the last 3 terms. I think that says something about my skill set, that I would be doing a good job, and it's not likely they're going to put me back in that spot if they didn't think I did a good job.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Next up is running for mayor, Ron Rogers. Ron, 45 seconds.
Thank you. My name's Ron Rogers. I'm running for mayor. I'm currently serving my 12th year on council after winning the by-election last summer for the Ward 3. I've served in Colchester South in the past and on the Amalgamated Essex Council. And I've also served the community in many other ways. I'm currently the board president of Access, which is Access Community Community Support Services. And I've been on many of the committees of council. I've been on the WETRA board. I'm also currently the chair of the Communities in Bloom, which we've had some quite good success helping to bring our town together from in the different wards. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Katie McGuire-Blaze. Thank you. 45 seconds.
Hi, everybody. I should have worn my heels today. I'm Katie McGuire-Blaze. I'm running for the position of mayor. I'm 35 years old. I'm a University of Windsor graduate with my business administration degree. I have 2 small boys, and we moved to Essex 6 years ago from a small town called Woodsley. It's much smaller than Harrow. I didn't like what I was seeing with council and the way administration was doing, how administration was handling things, so I thought
20 seconds.
I would go ahead and try to make a change. So now you have a choice. You have a choice for change, or you have a choice to continue on the path that we've been on and where we've gotten to today. And that's the reason why I went for the top spot. That's the biggest question everybody has, is why go for the top spot? That's the reason. Give you a choice for change.
Thank you. Okay, so these next series of questions, each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to answer and respond, and we're going to start with Rob Shepley on this. Rob, if you can get up there, and I'll give you the question. How will your vision for the future of the village of Colchester, the town of Harrow, and the municipality of Essex address community vitality, economic health, while preserving the historic character and uniqueness of our small agricultural town?
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
First of all, I would do away with development fees, which has already been done in Harrow here. I would do away with them from one end of the municipality to the other to encourage commercial investment and as well as home builders. Ensure that town expenses are kept under control. Focus on our roads. One of the things you heard earlier was the high-speed internet. I think that's one of the most important things that we can get done. It has to get done. If we want to attract the people from Toronto to this area, they're not going to come if we don't have high-speed internet. And that needs to start at our South Shores and bring it back to our town centers. That needs to start as quickly as possible. We need to continue to work with our wineries and support the tourism that they've got going and help them in any way we can. Continue with the proactive work that the current council has done with sewers in Harrow here, so that we don't end up with the same problem we had in Essex when we had to do reactive work and had the flooding. It's important that we continue down that road and think to the future so that we don't have to react to
20 seconds
in the future and don't have that mess. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Phil Pocock, running for deputy mayor. How will your vision for the future of the village of Colchester, the town of Harrow, and the municipality of Essex address community vitality, economic health, while preserving the historic character and uniqueness of small agricultural town? 1.5 minutes.
That is a lot. I think Colchester and Harrow has a really unique, they're close to each other. So we can bring those benefits that Harrow and Colchester have together and improve the tourism that they've already started with County Road 50 and Route 42. I'd also like to think that with that Kingsville and Amherstburg has done such a good job in their municipalities that we should start reaching out to them at the county level and bringing them their ideas that worked for them and what did not work for them, and bring them into ours where we can improve on them and make our village and town more productive, I guess, in developing. As for the north part of the municipality, that's going to be your bedroom communities. Like, it's in the middle of the county, and it's got the access to the rest of the county, basically.
20 seconds.
I think that's where I'm at right now. Sorry.
That's good. Thank you. Good. Also running for deputy mayor, Richard Meloche. Richard. you understand? Do I need to repeat the question?
No, you don't need
Thank
to repeat the question. I'm good. So much of my vision for the town of Harrow and the village of Colchester would tie into with our vibrant wine industry. And I think tourism, if we develop our tourism with some strategies that are even better than what we have today. I mean, we have a few things going on as far as Bounty of the County and County Road 50, Explore the Shore. We need to expand on some of those ideas. Right now, we're expanding the town of Essex is expanding their CIP program to include businesses to help out businesses develop along County Road 50, and I think that's going to help as well. Bicycle lanes, I'd like to see our town pursue and continue on with bicycle lanes, because I think the cycling tourism, people don't realize it's not a tens of millions of dollars, it's a hundreds of millions of dollars industry, the bicycling industry. So if we can attract some of those dollars, that would be fantastic. Also, the town's moved in the direction of, with zoning, to allow more bed and breakfasts and allow them to easily set up, and boutique style motels. So in my opinion, we need to move in that direction to get people not only to come out for the day, but to stay and eat in our restaurants. We got to try and promote some of these motels and bed and breakfasts and make sure we've got a viable industry there, so people sleep over, eat, stay the next day, shop in our stores instead of going back to Windsor, staying overnight and shopping and eating there.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Next up, running for mayor, Ron Rogers.
Thank you. We have a wonderful town, a vibrant municipality. We need to lobby our upper tiers to put programs in place that will encourage developers to develop affordable entry-level homes in our communities, to bring in young families, retirees. I will work with the Economic Development Officer to pinpoint and target businesses and developers for our area. Our agritourism is growing and could expand, but we also have to protect the interests of our traditional farmers in our area. One of the things that I really do like about the growth over the last number of years is Explore the Shore. It's a wonderful, wonderful event that happens yearly, but maybe we can expand that to drive through our town. And I mean, I'm talking about our whole town. But one of the things, we need to attract people here, but we also need to attract our own people to blend in. We need Essex to come out to Harrow. We need Harrow to go to Essex. We need to be a one town and grow that idea and that feeling that we are one town. And this is my I keep thinking that she's going to tell me.
Now you're done.
Okay.
All right, Katie McGuire Blaze. And you can pull that down. There you go. There you go.
I should have done this the first time. The municipality is so big, and we're really focusing here on Harrow Colchester because you are Harrow Colchester. There are some people from Ward 1 here, I know, and so I'm going to focus on everybody. In Colchester, I really like the Explore the Shore. I think it's great, and I think it's bringing a lot of tourism, positive feedback to Colchester. I'd really like to see County Road 50 paved nicely with a nice bike path, so that way it's a more enjoyable ride for those people coming out on the weekend and enjoying their convertibles and going for the winery. That's something that I'd really like to focus on. Harrow Center, you guys are such a great community, and there's so much history here. I'd like to preserve that. In order for us to preserve that and to keep Harrow Center alive, we need to make new neighborhoods. We need to build here, and we need to bring people here so our downtown shops can flourish. That's not going to happen until we bring more people here. So I know it's hard to change, and I know it's hard to keep adding to our small community, but in order for us to continue being a town, we really do need to add to our community. Out in Essex Center, we need jobs out there. They need jobs, they need someplace to work in Essex. Right now, everybody in Essex is going outside, and there's lots of building and new residential happening, but there's not so much in the commercial industry. So those are three unique things that we need. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, this next question, we're going to begin with, my apologies, I'm sorry. Thank you. Sorry, Larry. Larry, running for mayor. My apology.
Thank you. My vision for the town is this. I've heard over and over and over again how people like the appeal of the small town. We're blessed to have 4 unique, different communities within one large area. We are unique. Out at Colchester alone, if you look at what we've done to the harbor alone and what we can do in the future, I am in conversation right now. If I do get elected mayor, I'm in conversation right now that somebody wants to invest in the downtown part of Colchester. I think we can open up to a little bit of retail gift shops there to draw more tourism in there. It's a beautiful area. Essex is well positioned too to capitalize on central location within the county as an industrial area. I don't know if you're aware, the people here, but I do have one industry coming to Essex along number 3. Moyer Ferris Crane Company's coming out there. It's too bad the MTOs held them up for
20 seconds.
A couple of years. But my goal is to bring a strong industrial base along number 3 where we rezone the Lafferty Farm. It's all rezoned industrial. We need to build a solid industrial base, have that income come in so we can do infrastructure, road work, and drainage work, and keep a lid on taxes. So that's my goal. Thank you.
Ask the candidates to look to Jill for the 22nd.
I can do it this way. It's working this way. It's working this way. Okay. Okay, so maybe I can just inform the candidates, if you can look at Jill so that we won't interrupt you about the 20 seconds. If you can look at her, her signal is 20 seconds with the one hand, okay? That way I won't have to interrupt you. All right, so we're going to start off now this next question. We're going to start off with Phil Pocock as running for deputy mayor. How will you, as a leader, foster constructive council relations and ensure that administration serves the needs of the public through council? 1.5 minutes.
Well, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I'm going to ask for more meetings with administration, leads and council to address the issues ongoing, and by having current updates to keep the taxpayers informed.
Okay, thank you. Running for deputy mayor, Richard Melange. Next up, same question. How will you, as a leader, foster constructive council relations and ensure that administration serves the needs of the public through council?
Well, I think it's been said earlier, but I believe that we have a very strong and positive administrative council. We hire these people, and I think all of you know, we pay them very good wages. If we're not going to listen to their advice, and that's what we as a council should do, we should be listening to their advice. Whether we take their advice or not is another thing, but we should be listening to what they have to say. So I would continue on that path to listen to what they have to say. Whether I agree with them or not agree with them would be whether I vote in favor of what they're recommending or not. But in most instances, I'm going to say that they're correct in what they're recommending. As far as fostering better relationship maybe with communications with the public. In the past, we've started having roundtables with the community. And I know we've done this in previous terms as well, where we do a presentation on our budgets, we do presentations on upcoming projects, and try and get feedback on different projects that we have ongoing. So I would like to continue those, and right now we do them annually, but maybe we should be doing them biannually. And I think when we first start off as a new council, we need to do some consultations on before we set our strategies for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Ron Rogers. Ron Rogers, running for mayor. Do you want me to read? How will you, as a leader, foster constructive council relations and ensure that administration serves the needs of the public through council?
Council is the board of directors. The board of directors sets policy. If we're not getting the right answers from administration, maybe we're asking the wrong questions. We need to set the right policies and move our town forward. I do agree that we do have a good expertise within our administration. We need to utilize them. We need to get the feedback from administration on issues that we've identified in a timely manner, and so that we can either modify those directions and policy, or we can move forward with the policies as they are. As far as bringing in the public into the mix a little more, I agree that we need to bring in and I've called it a community action advisory committee, which would be a cross section of the people in the community that would meet possibly quarterly and give us a critique of how we're doing and how we could get better. Another thing that we could do, which would be not anything binding, but the radio stations have a question of the day. With the apps that are out there for your phone, we could have a question of the day or the question of the week for our town. What do you think we're doing wrong? What do you think? What do you like that we're doing good? And take a look at it, and it give us a bit of a thermometer as to how we're doing out there, and if we could do better. Thank you.
Katie McGuire-Blaze.
The first thing that I think needs to happen is we need to encourage our council members to ask questions. I don't feel that they're asking enough questions. So I'm not saying that administration isn't doing their job or that they're wrong. I'm just saying I feel as a taxpayer that my council person is not asking the question that I'm asking. So I would encourage our councilmen to ask the questions that we're all asking of our administration. If they want to put a park up or do something, we need to say, how did you get there? And I don't think that that's happening right now. How I would like to engage the public in council is I would like to see our council come to Harrow a couple times, go to McGregor a couple of times, and get them involved. It's hard for people from Harrow to get to Essex by 6 o'clock for a council meeting. I've seen it a lot where people come in very late and they've missed what they came in to see. So I think by moving council around a few times a year would really engage the public, and it would allow you to be able to ask the questions or at least hear what your council people have to say in real time. And that's how I would engage the public, and how I think that we could get more out of our administration by simply asking questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Larry Snively.
Thank you. I'll keep this one short. First of all, I think our administrative staff I think we have a very good administrative staff. I work very closely with them. When there is a concern from one of my constituents, either from this ward or any ward throughout the town of Essex, when I can walk in there and get the answers and get back to the constituent and get the problem solved, I'm impressed. I mean, I don't see a problem there. What I do see, I agree with Katie. I do agree with Katie, what she said about meetings. I do believe that, and that's come up in the past. I do believe that we should rotate the meetings, not every week or not every month, but we should rotate meetings where the public can have some input with their concerns. I agree 100% with that. But as far as administration, I think they do a good job. They're not always right, okay? I agree they're not always right. I do get in some arguments with them, but we do get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you. Rob, you have the last one on this question. Okay, can we keep it up here? Thank you.
Well, again, I'm a firm believer in that the people we have working for our administration for the town are doing a good job for the most part. I don't see a lot of problems there. I think that we could look at possibly introducing technology if we can help streamline and move things along faster, where concerns can reach the right people in a quicker manner. And I do agree with Katie and Larry that I think it would behoove us to move the council meetings to Harrow. I mean, I don't know that we could get to Harrow, Colchester, McGregor, but I mean, if we could at least come to Harrow, that would give us a place where we're meeting and we can get together and hear from all parts of the community. Beyond that, I think that's about it. Quick, short, quick.
Good, thank you. So we'll start this next question with Richard Meloche. Richard, how will you address the issues of vacant schools and properties in town? Make your reference to your vision for Harrow High School. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to say, of course, no one, including myself, likes to see vacant properties, and especially schools. It's very disheartening to see schools that were so vibrant taken out of circulation and not being used anymore. Sherry has mentioned earlier that the junior public school has become an eyesore, and I totally agree with what she's saying. We need to do something. We're as a council have started looking at different options as to what we can do there. But it's a slow process, of course. But hopefully we can come in this new term of council, come up with some ideas to make something happen there. The other potential issue is with the high school. And I have to be very careful about how I've been told by our administration to be very careful, because when you're talking like this impromptu, it's difficult when you, sorry, okay. Right now, I think the high school is a valuable piece of property. There's some recreational properties that we truly need there. I think in the new term of council, we've got to look at the options that we have and see if there's something that we can do that's more appropriate for the community.
Thank you, Richard. Ron Rogers?
First of all, the high school should be a high school. We have a new government in Toronto. I think the door's cracked open a little bit. I want to lobby that government. Make that high school a regional high school for agricultural sciences. We have a research farm. We have greenhouses. We have the winery industry. We could bus students into our town for the high school. Agricultural sciences for our high school. I will lobby our new government for that.
Thanks. Sorry about that little back right there. Katie McGuire Blaze.
I swear I thought that was Ron echoing his voice from outside this building. Obviously, there's something going on with the high school that I'm not privy to, so I feel like I can't answer this as well as I should be able to. But as somebody not on council and not having all the information, I really don't want to see, especially this high school, be left. I think that it's more important for us to purchase that property, to purchase that building, and figure out what we're going to do with it after. If we leave it in the hands of the school board, what will they do with it? Who will they sell it to? We'll have no control over it. And I feel like that's something that we don't want to do. We don't want to have another vacant building next to the Harrow Fair, next to our splash pad, in front of our daycare, by the arena, that's just going to rot away. That's not what we need there. We need to have control of it, and we need to do what we want to do with it. What that looks like, I really can't say, but because obviously something's happening, right? But I think that if I could control it, I would say we need to purchase that property, and then we need to either tear it down or maybe start a community center. I would love to see something happen with at least a portion of the school, but I definitely think that it would be in our best interest as a community to purchase that property. Thank you.
Thank you. Larry Snively.
Thanks, Bill. As far as the Harrow High School, I'm not going to comment on that because that is an in-camera thing, and what I'm concerned about is the land itself, and to support our fair board. I know we've been working, and it's very, very important for our fair. So I'm going to leave it at that. Now, the other school, the junior school, the problem is that these schools, when they close them, they let them sit, and they get to be an eyesore. So this has come up in front of council before. They should be vacant for a period of time. If they're not sold by then, they should be either torn down or given to the municipality for $1. But that's never going to happen. We know that. But they are an eyesore. Now, as far as the junior school, I'm going to go back to that school. I've had that school sold a couple times, but it never did go through. But the good news, I'll tell everybody here, one of the parties got a hold of me just the other day. They're back in. So this is what we should be doing as council. If we have a school that is closed, as council, we should be looking at that building. How can we use that building? How can we get that sold to use it? Thank you.
Rob Shepley. Okay, please.
Okay, not me.
Please. Okay, no more
Just want to
comment.
clear that one up right now, not me. Obviously, again, some of us aren't aware of the goings on with the Harrow High School. I'm not a big proponent in spending tax dollars on something that we've already spent our tax dollars to build. I'm a firm believer in taking the schools and working with a developer by, again, taking away those development fees, even if it comes down to a tax break to get them in to develop and turn them into something useful. If you take the time and go to Essex Center and have a look at Holy Names, the old Holy Names School, it's being converted as we speak. The second floor, the first floors are already operational, and it's a functioning building. It's being well used. It didn't get torn down, so it's a great plan and a great idea. Thanks.
Thank you. Phil Poplak.
All right. For the vacant properties and whatnot, I think you're going to have to get some bylaws that actually have some teeth, that the property owners have to actually maintain their property and keep it up to our standards. That would be the first and easiest way to do it. As for my understanding, the junior school is owned by a numbered company. Maybe we should look at the CIP program and expanding it to get them to have some business in there, or a senior center like they did with my old junior school in Essex. As for the high school, I don't know what's going on, and maybe I will find out. But I do think if there's people that are interested in the building and the property that are residents and taxpayers, they should at least have their voices heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so this next question, we're going to start with Ron Rogers, running for mayor. Do you think a public transportation partnership with Windsor and neighboring municipalities will benefit the town of Essex? Why or why not? 1.5 minutes.
Well, I've spoken on this before. A year ago on the by-election, it was a question. And I do believe a regional transportation is possible, but it wouldn't be a traditional transportation system. You wouldn't have bus stops. It was touched on earlier. You wouldn't have bus stops. You wouldn't be waiting for a bus. It would be all done by apps and on your computer. You would arrange for a ride earlier, like maybe 24 hours. be small buses, maybe microbuses, 8 to 10 people. They would take you to either the place that you need to go to, or they would take you to a central location that would bus you into the larger center that you're looking at. It's all doable with the new apps and so forth that and new systems that are available to us. It's certainly not something we can do as a town on our own. I don't even know if that it could be done just regionally with Windsor and the county. We would have to look at upper tier money coming in, but I think it would be a great thing for us. And somebody that wants to go to work in Windsor could they'd be pre-booked on it regularly, and they'd be picked up. It's a very doable thing, and it would work something to similar to, as mentioned, like Uber or Lyft. However, I believe that the municipalities or the government needs to have their finger in it, at least to get it started and get it and to get it regulated. Thank you.
Thank you. Katie McGuire-Blaze.
So there already is a system that Ron was just talking about in place for the municipality of Essex. It's under We Care, and anybody 55 of age and older can access that exact same thing. What we can do, and what I think we could do, is if there was a need for under 55 to access We Care, possibly we could work with the Essex Community Center, and we could work with them and allow people under the age of 55 to use it. As for regional public transportation beyond that, I honestly don't feel like we have the budget for it. I think it would be too costly, and I don't think it's worth raising our taxes for the few people that will actually use it. Uber is a great thing. It's coming out, and what I think we could do as a municipality is we could promote Uber. We could get drivers. We could screen them ourselves as a council or as a committee, and we can promote safe Uber drivers within the municipality. We just took one from Kingsville to Essex on Saturday, and it was fine. It was easy. They picked us up in 3 minutes, and we didn't have a problem. So I think with the new technology that's coming out and the new taxis, Uber, the regional transportation really isn't viable. Thank you.
Thank you. Larry Snively.
Thanks, Bill. I truly believe that as a municipality our size, and the cost of this service would add probably 3 to 4% on our tax rate. So can we afford it? No, we can't afford it. I'm going to agree with what Katie just said. You know, we do have the Essex service for 55 and over. I really don't see a big need for it right now. I'm not saying there isn't a need. There might be. I don't think it's been researched enough, but I think what we should do we should probably meet with all the other municipalities and see if there is a need for it. And if there's a need for it, we should approach senior government for funding for this type of service. Going back to our municipality, there's no way we could afford this service. So, and I wouldn't want to put a burden on the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Rob Shepley.
Well, this is one I struggled with because I'm not familiar with it, an idea for it. I know it, if the numbers Steve presented us earlier are correct, and I believe they are, he does his homework, it's something we can't afford on our own now. If other communities want to join in, Lakeshore, Leamington, maybe it's something we can look at down the road, but at this point, I don't think we can. I think Steve's idea, again, give him the credit for the Uber idea. It's a great idea, a fantastic idea that may work and help out the people that need to use it, and continue to support the 55 and over buses that are running now. That's it. Thanks.
Bill Colcock.
Absolutely. We should have public transit, and being on Essex Community Services, you know what? It doesn't matter what age you are. They will bring you to Windsor. Yes, they will. And The problem, one issue is that they don't have enough funding. The town gives them $20,000. That's not fixing the buses that are breaking down on a regular basis because they're bringing people around. They are bringing students to the college and university twice a day, dropping them off and picking them up. We are getting there. This is something that could be brought to county council and be discussed at getting a public transit working for the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Malash, you have the last word on this question.
Thank you. So I've actually been privy to a study of regional transportation at the county level. About 5 and 6 years ago, the county looked at this, and what they came back with was that we would be looking at about a 10% hike in our property taxes just to start off with. Very costly endeavor. So at that point in time, if we had even had good service and even up with the 10% increase in property taxes to have some sort of public transit system, they were going to have a branch that went out to Amherstburg through LaSalle. They were going to have a branch that went through Tecumseh and out to Bell River and back into Windsor. And they were going to have a line that went up number 3 highway to Essex, Kingsville, Leamington. And poor Harrow, guess what? Nothing. Nothing. So we said, this is unacceptable. You have to go back to the consultant and try and figure out a way that we work Harrow in, even if it was round out to Harrow and then go through Amherstburg and come back through LaSalle. And they said there was not the clientele that they felt that would be able to use it. So at that point in time, I'm not going to say yes to a plan where we're, here in Harrow, you're going to have a 10% increase in property taxes at the county level, yet have no service. They had to come back with something better than that. I think we should be doing it with just Essex, look at smaller buses, look at limited routes, come into town, go back into Windsor at points where, like university, college, similar to what Essex Community Services is doing.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to start this next series of questioning, which we've had before from the other candidates, starting with Katie. These are prepared responses. We're going to give them 10 seconds each in ranking your priorities from the alphabetical list, highest to lowest. Agriculture, community development, health, low taxes, preservation, environmental and historical, roads, tourism, recreation.
All right. 1, commercial development. 2, roads. 3, tourism, recreation. 4, health. 5, low taxes. 6, preservation. 7, agriculture.
Thank you. Larry?
Thank you. First would be commercial development. 2 would be roads. 3, tourism. 4, low taxes. 5, agriculture. 6, preservation. And 7 is health, and the reason I said 7, because that's a provincial mandate. Thank you.
Okay, Rob.
Ditto. No, I'm kidding. Commercial development, low taxes, roads, tourism and recreation, agriculture, preservation and environment, and health.
Phil? Phil Pocock.
I didn't rank any of these questions because I think they're all a priority. And furthermore, Essex Community Services does come out to Harrow and Amherstburg for that university and college route.
Richard Ross. Your rapid fire list.
Thank you. Well, my first 3 priorities are the same. Low taxes, low taxes, low taxes. And then after that, roads. And then 5 was agricultural, tourism, recreation, community development, and preservation. I ranked them equally. And very last, health, because that issue is more of a provincial issue. As putting my counselor hat on, that's how I would rank them.
Okay. Rogers?
Well, I agree with this guy. I'm not ranking them because they're all important to somebody. They're all first place to somebody in this room. All of them, any one of them. And I'm not going to rank them because that would be minimizing the value of one over the other. And they're all important, and the resources that would have to be used to look after them would just have to be shared, and whatever you have at the time, you'd rank them at that point and address them. But not right now, not like this. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, so the last concluding remarks, we are now going to start with Larry Snively on concluding remarks. Please give us your conclusion stating how you will be progressive in thought and action on council.
Thank you. I think hopefully we're going to have a good council, that we can all work together. That's the main thing. We all have to work together. We should all have a vision what direction this municipality should go. I strongly believe that we have to tackle our roads, we have to tackle housing, and we have to tackle commercial and commercial and industrial growth. That's so important for a tax base. And I think if we have a good council, a good aggressive council, we should be looking at development fees also. How are we going to attract new business, new industry into our town? That's what we got to work on. That's my goal. And I would really appreciate if I got your support election day. Thank you.
Thank you. Rob Shepley, you're up. Final remarks, minute and a half.
So our closing remarks.
Closing remarks, did I say that's right? Closing remarks, yes.
Well, if elected, I want to have a council that works together, it's cohesive, and a unit that gels. I don't want to see what we've had for the last 4 years and the 4 years prior to that. Arguing and fighting has to stop in council. We're never, and I mean never, going to be taken serious as a community when our council is known in the media as the clown council. This has to change, and it has to change in this election. I hope everybody here realizes what we've been watching for the last 8 years and wants change. We've had 2 members currently that are on council running for mayor that were part of this problem. I'm here to offer you a different choice and a different solution. Thanks, everybody, and hope I get your vote on election day.
Bill Pocock.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my. I think to make this council and everything, we need to start working together. We also need to start kind of being like a customer service to the public, or to the outer public, not just to our municipality, and try to attract businesses and development and people wanting to come to Essex. We've been stuck in one spot for the last number of years. We need to work together and start moving forward. And it's not just one person. It's not the 8 people that will be elected on the 22nd. It's everybody. We're going to have to work together, and we're going to have to do some changing. Either we change the direction or we stay status quo, but on the 22nd, hopefully we get some results. Thank you.
Richard Malash.
My vision going forward is to try and, again, as we've done in the past, is trying to attract new developments, new tax base to the town, obviously. When you bring in new revenue, that's what's going to give you your opportunity to spend money on new projects, keep taxes lower. And when I go door to door, that's a lot of what I hear from people, is that they don't want increases in their property taxes. So I also believe that tourism has to be developed in the town. That's going to be one of our avenues in increasing our prosperity. That's what's going to keep this end of the town moving along. And I think there's huge dollars there. So hopefully we can come up with some strategies. We have in the past, but we need new strategies. And I think we need, at the beginning of council, like I had said earlier, I think we need to have public input as to what people believe. We may send some choices out as to where council believes we should be moving, but before we actually set it, have the community have some input on what we believe our strategy should be as a council moving forward for the next 4 years. Because what's the point of us moving forward and trying to accomplish goals that the community doesn't want us to accomplish? Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Don Rogers.
Thank you. I am experienced, I am capable, and I am motivated, and I have not been part of the problem. We need economic development. We need residential, commercial, and industrial. I'll work to get that, and I'll work to bring our new council together, and we'll work to positive change. We're not going to be the people or the municipality that is left in the dust anymore. We're going to be the one that kicks up the dust, and they're going to wonder what just went on when they see Essex go by. Thank you.
Thank you. Katie McGuire Blaze, you have the final concluding remarks.
I forgot what I was supposed to say here. What I really think we need change. In order for us to get businesses to come in order for us to get new residential people coming in, they need to see that we are looking to change. Nobody wants to move to a town where council cannot get along with administration, and administration cannot get along with council, and there's no trust. We need to build the trust. We need to build the trust between our council and our taxpayers, because I believe it's been lost. So I want to work on building back that trust, answering your questions, and asking questions of our administration. And I think that once we do that, we will start to unite. I think we need a council who will work together and a council who will get along. And I think that a new council, a trustworthy council, will entice people to come and set up shop here and grow our business of a town. Thank you.
Okay, and now Katie, can you stay up there? This next round of questions are from the audience, okay?
Okay.
So, we're just switching the order up here a bit. This question is for 1 minute. What makes you the best candidate running for your position, in your case, for mayor?
Okay, that's a hard one, right off the bat. Okay. I am new at this. I do not have friends in administration, and I do not have friends on council. I'm not looking for a new friend. What I'm looking for is to build our town, to make us successful again. And I'm not going to have to worry about hurting my friends' feelings in administration or hurting my friends' feelings in council, because I'm going to do what's best for the population and not what's best for my buddy next to me. And I think that puts me in a very unique position where I don't have anybody else to worry about. I'm going to worry about me, our council, and our town, not my buddy sitting behind a desk in administration. Thank you.
Ron Rogers? Ron Rogers? Ron Rogers.
We're going that way now.
Well, no, puts it back up. Okay, so what makes you the best candidate running for mayor?
Well, I said the 3 words that I like. I am experienced, I am capable of doing this, and I am motivated to do this. As well, I'm going to treat all our ratepayers the same. No favoritism, no differentiating, fairly and equitably. I have the ability to bring our council together, the new council. I believe that we can sit, whoever is going to be on that council, we'll be able to sit and come to consensus as to how to move our town forward. And we need to move our town forward. On the 22nd, I think you should be voting for me. Thank you.
Richard Wash, what makes you the best candidate running for deputy mayor?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'm a numbers guy, and I think you need numbers people on council. Secondly, I've been the deputy mayor now for 12 years. This council here elected me to be the deputy mayor. 2 previous terms, councilors have elected me to be the deputy mayor. There must be a skill set there that they feel that I have that can do this job. And as far as the experience goes, when October 23rd comes along, I'll be able to hit the ground running. I've already been doing this. I've been negotiating what Essex needs at the county level and getting what we need. And I think that's what we need in this position. Thank you.
Okay. Bill Pocock, what makes you the best candidate running for deputy mayor?
I'm someone different. It's been the same for the last 12 years. Let's change it up. Let's change the direction of the town. Let's move forward. that's why I would think I'd be the best candidate for this position. Thank you.
Thank you. Rob Shepley.
Phil just stole my line. Yeah, I'm somebody different. No, I don't have the experience these guys have that have been on council, but I don't want that experience because they've been on council. We have had no housing development to speak of when our communities all around us have been ballooning with it. These guys have done nothing. It hasn't happened, folks. I mean, track records are track records. Get up and defend it. You say we're going to say what just happened? We've been asking what the hell's happening because nothing's been happening in our town. And that's the problem, and that's why we need a change. We need to have development in order to lower our taxes and to grow and to bring businesses to town. Thank you, folks.
Larry Snively, what makes you the best candidate for mayor?
Thank you. I have to disagree with that last statement. We do have development coming into our area. We do have a big development happening now in Harrow. It should start November. It's 214 new residential homes. We have 3 new subdivisions, I believe, starting up in Essex. So we do have growth. Why do I think I would be the best candidate for mayor? I do have experience in management. I managed for almost 25 years in the automotive industry. I know how to run a budget. I've sat down with my staff and we come up with budgets. And being on council alone, we sit down every year and go through a budget. So I do have the experience. I'm a leader. I'm very involved with the community, and I think I would do one hell of a good job. Thank you.
Okay. In fact, this next question, we're going to start with Rob Shepley. Okay? Rob, you can get up there and I'll give you the question. So recently, Doug Ford announced plans to repeal the Green Energy Act, which stripped away the power of local municipalities to block unwanted green energy schemes like industrial, wind, and solar projects. Now that the town will have the authority to stop or accept these projects, would you support any further green energy projects for our communities?
If it meant our hydro rates were going to go up, absolutely not. And that's it.
Okay, good. Bill, your position on this?
Being on the ELK board, I know our grid can't hold any more energy in Essex and Harrow and Colchester. So, no, I can't support it because there's no more space to add new energy.
Okay, good. Richard Meloche, what's your thoughts on this?
I would still support solar because solar builds through the day. Wind turbines I cannot support. The energy a lot of times is produced through the night hours and produced at times. It's so unpredictable. We don't know when it's going to build energy, and a lot of times, I mean, people have read that we're looking at we're actually paying Michigan and Quebec hydro companies to take that extra power. And in some instances, we are actually paying wind turbine companies to shut their wind turbines off, the turbines that are out there now. So I would say not turbines, but yes on solar.
Okay. Ron Rogers.
Wind turbines, I'm proud to say that when we were the first municipality that had them in our county. And I'm proud to say that I voted against them right to the very bitter end. And now we're wondering why they're costing us so much money. But if a green energy program was put into place that served you, I might be able to support that. Not that you would be selling it back to the grid. You use it yourself and you don't have to use as much that's coming from the grid. That would be something that would be supportable, but not the way it has been. It's expensive and we all see it every month.
Thank you. Katie?
I do not support the wind turbines, but I would support solar panels. I think that individual or single dwelling homes, actually even apartment buildings, can self-sustain themselves off solar panel use, and so that would alleviate some of the bills that we're currently getting for hydro use. And I think that would be less of a burden for us if we did have solar panel roofs. It would be less out of your pocket, right? In the end, so. Solar panels, yay. Wind turbines, no.
Larry Schneider, you have the last word on this question.
Thank you. Yes, I do support solar energy, but wind turbines, no. The reason is I don't think they have proven that they are a healthy thing to have in our community. We all know what happened down in the Chatham, Sarnia area, where the wind turbines, when they're drilling, they say they contaminate the wells down there. So I don't want to take that chance. I would not promote any more wind turbines in this area. Thank you.
Okay. We have time for one more question that was presented from the audience, and we'll start with Phil on this particular question. Okay.
Always going up. All right, what's the question?
What are the regulations and setbacks for marijuana greenhouses in the township?
Can you repeat that again?
Sure. What are the regulations and setbacks for marijuana greenhouses in the township? That's the question that was presented.
I'm not sure. I have no idea.
Okay. So, yeah, the question is really kind of not relevant, but. Yeah.
Can I have another question?
Can I have another question? You can. We do have one. Hang on here. Hang on. We do have one more question. Hang on. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh?
We don't have regulation over them.
Change one more? Okay. Well, okay, you know what? We're going to give you a break. We're running out of time, so we're going to flip over now. Thank you very much for, give them a big hand, please. Thank you. Yeah. Well, it's what came from the audience, and it really didn't have that relevance. So we're going to award a 1 and Ward 2 up now. Okay, thank you. Thank you. We're going to start. Thank you. I just want to mention that Morley Bowman, Fred Groves, and Terry Brockman sent regrets that they were unable to make it tonight. So I just want to make that at the beginning, okay? All right, so we have one question, 2 minutes. It's a short one, but we want to hear from you, okay? One question, and we're going to start with Kim Verbeek. Kim, how will you engage with the needs of the entire municipality, including areas outside your ward, such as Harrow and Colchester South? We have 2 minutes.
Well, my name is Kim Verbeek, and I'm a candidate for Essex Council Ward 2. I have deep roots in this community. I've lived in this ward most of my life. Steve and myself have raised our 5 children in this community, and I've been engaged and active for over 30 years. Our council needs new voices, people who have passion and energy to fight for a better Essex. My vision is to build a vibrant, thriving community. As your councillor, I believe that it is essential to engage with the entire municipality, including Harrow and Colchester South. Residents need to be better connected to the local government. I strongly support improving communications too. I think that we must make better use of the technology and social media, and I support using a wide range, engaging with the residents. That includes surveys, roundtables, meet and greets, open houses. I also support resident participation in our municipal working groups, in our committees, so that we get new voices. I believe that we must also consult with specific groups and organizations that are in our community already, such as our agriculture groups, our seniors, our working families, so that we can learn what's important to them. Finally, I think that the best way is to simply talk to people. I've been engaged in this community as a volunteer. I've worked on many committees and service groups for 35 years, and I'm going to continue to do that if I'm elected. I'm deeply committed, I'm determined, and I am experienced to be a strong voice for all the residents of Essex, and I respectfully ask for your vote on October 22nd. And if you want to learn more about my vision and my election platform, just visit kimverbeek.ca, please. Thanks.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you. Tom Holland, Ward 1. How will you engage with the needs of the entire municipality, including areas outside wards, your wards, such as Harrow and Colchester South?
Well, first of all, my name's Tom Holland. I had my own business for 25 years. I retired for 10, and I got fed up when I went up to council about stuff. When I found out you can go there and nobody pays attention to you, they ignore you, and I said, that's it, I'm running. So I decided to get out of retirement and start running. And here I am. But when you said about the community, I believe if you go up in council and you have some complaint or something, and your counselor sits there and doesn't even look at you, and that pretends they're on the computer or something, I'm sorry, but they're there to what I'm running for is we are supposed to represent you, not you represent us. And people just sat there and not said a word. 4 years, I kept sending letters, I done everything, and nobody done nothing. And I don't care which ward you're in, if your counselor does not want to stand up for you or speak for you, I'll come down to Harrow and talk to you, see what your problem is, and I will take it back to council. That's about all I've got to say. That's why I'm running. Thank you.
Randy votes for Ward 1. Randy.
Well, first of all, Tom, I want you to send me that email you sent out tomorrow because I don't remember getting it personally myself, but that's neither here nor there. So anyways, I want to introduce myself. I'm Randy Vokes, Councillor Ward 1 in the town of Essex. I'm married to my wife, Shelley, for 35 years. I'm retired out of Chrysler, Canada. I worked there for 33 years as a health and safety rep, working under Uniform 4444. In terms of my family, I certainly don't ever want to forget my deceased daughter, Priscilla. My daughter passed away 4 years ago, but I mention her everywhere I go because she's in my heart, and she's in my soul, and she's in my spirit. So with that being said, also, I certainly want to take the time to thank Bill, to thank Melanie for tonight. I want to thank everybody affiliated to this opportunity tonight. To the new candidates, I want to say to you, I don't think it's specifically fair for you here tonight, because as I look around the room, I see in over 70 years of political experience before you, and in terms of the new candidates, they don't have 1 day. So you got to put the checks and balances in place. In terms of bringing the community together, I'm a strong advocate. If you look at my political record, Harrow lost its culture, it lost its history, it's lost its place of being, because it fell under the realm of the town of Essex. I encourage council to name and go after the government of the day, to make our environment, if you will, our living environment, that of what would be something like Heritage Park, because it's important. It's very important that the residents of Harrow keep their culture, keep their history, keep their being, keep their families. And when you all of a sudden become known as the town of Essex, you lose that. Not fair. No checks, no balances. And I'll give you my word, if I get reelected, I'm going to put that on the forefront. Harrow is going to remain Harrow. Essex is going to remain Essex. And we're all going to live in the community of Heritage Park. Thank you very much to all of you for your time.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you. Mr. Tom Guerin, running for Ward 1.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Joe Guerin. I live in Essex Center, lifelong resident of Essex Center. I'm running for council in Ward 1. Been married for 27 years. I have one son. He's in his third year of human kinetics at University of Windsor. Past 4 years, I've been the chairperson of the Essex Fun Fest, and for the past 9 years, I've been on the board of directors of the Essex 73s. A few people left tonight. I wish they would have stayed, because even though I'm not running in your ward, I still am going to be looking after the best interests of you. How am I going to do that? I plan on building relationships with my fellow council mates to try to learn more about your communities. I plan on talking to the people that live, work, and play in your community. And I also plan on trying to get involved with your communities. Throughout my term, my promise to the taxpayer is that I will hold myself and my fellow councilors and the town of Essex administration to do the job that we're supposed to be doing on behalf of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. I apologize for calling you Tom. Joe. I take a minute. Melanie is going to come up with some closing remarks. I just want to make one point. If we can thank you and all the candidates. Of course, Melanie is going to do this. But I just want to recognize our retiring mayor, Ron McDermott, in the back. Ron?
So on behalf of the Harrow Colchester South Chamber of Commerce, I would like to thank everyone for attending tonight. We are grateful to the Harrow Fair Board for offering their iconic space for this community event. The work you do year-round and each Labor Day weekend defines this community. Thank you to the town of Essex for supporting this event, and Dave Hillier and Cftv for recording and broadcasting it. That will happen within a couple of days. Just a note that we would like to share with you that the Essex BIA will host an open house with MP Tracy Ramsey and MPP Taras Nadashak on Tuesday, October 9th at 5 p.m. at the Essex Sports Complex Shaheen Room. All are welcome to voice their concerns to our provincial and federal representatives. So to conclude, our thanks to all candidates for offering your service to the community and for attending this special event. As well, members of the public are to be acknowledged for the interest you have shown by your presence tonight. Best wishes to you on your path to the election. Good evening all.